We live our principles within a living tradition of wisdom and spirituality, drawn from sources as diverse as science, poetry, scripture, and personal experience. These are the 6 sources our congregations affirm and promote.
First source, direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life.
Words and deeds of prophetic people which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love.
Wisdom from the world's religions, which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual lives.
Jewish and Christian teachings which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves.
Humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science and warn against idolatries of the mind and spirit.
Spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature.
Wisdom to grow.
The story.
That's the story.
That's the story.
Story coming next. Wisdom to grow with. Grow, people, grow.
We will now ground ourselves in the present and honor those with whom we will share this time. I invite you to settle into your seat. Feel the chair holding your body. Imagine the earth holding you. Take in a comfortable breath. Exhale. Let the joy and the despair and the frustration and the satisfaction of the week trickle off your shoulders. Let it collect in your hands. Set them down, not ignored or abandoned. They will join you on the rest of your journey today, but let them rest. Allow yourself to be present in this space. Please find a way to acknowledge those with whom we share this time together. You might smile, or place your hand over your heart, or give a small wave. I invite you now to return to the larger circle. If you have someone you would like to be held up, please add their name to the chat. Today we hold up Annabelle Tetlow and Tina Ellis. Are there any names in the chat?
Rebecca and Daniel Provost.
Also, it's Gordon's sisters Josette Bailey's birthday today.
Also, Lisa Clement D. Widner.
May we hold all those displaced or alone, and all these names spoken here, and all those held in the silence of our hearts, in love and compassion.
Moments of silence are wonderful, aren't they? They allow our minds to travel wherever they need go. Sometimes to places they don't want to go. But there's a point of consciousness that's drawing you there. Let us find the silence within our hearts and minds and spirits and meditate on what's important to you for these moments, please. Give it a little time and thought, please. Hear these words. They come to us from a composite in our hymnal, number 480. Why don't you read it with me, please? Let us open our minds and hearts to the place of quiet, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and the soft, gentle coming of love. That work for you all? Amen.
And now, Mac Harris is going to come up and speak to us about why he loves UUCLV.
Chi-Town Mac, what's up? How much? Oh boy. Hillary, I want to thank you before I get here. So, yes, Hillary, this is not something I enjoy doing very often, but I'm here. I'm here because this really is an important space for me. Why UUCLV is so important to me. As I discovered yesterday, sitting in a Panera, talking to a young lady with a friend of mine who I don't really connect with very often, but I connect with her because I'm connected to her throughout the universe, and we're universally connected. Our souls are. We're sitting and having a conversation. And a lot of it was kind of political and things we disagree with, what's happening in the world. And we didn't realize there was a young lady sitting behind us who teaches at UUCLV. This conversation started off, going to be an hour lunch. 3 hours later, we're still sitting in Panera talking. And the young lady said something to me that still sticks to me. And sticks is that third space. He said, we have three spaces. We have two spaces that everybody knows: the home and work, home and work. You have to have a third space, a safe place where you can go, where you can articulate who you are and what your principles are and what you believe and what you feel. And this is truly my third space. Some places and some communities in urban areas, I'm from Chicago, you don't have a third space. People don't congregate. You don't get young men who feel comfortable they can go out on the street in groups of 3 or 4 or more without being harassed, or places like that. But when I come here, I know this is my third space. This is a place where I'm heard, where I'm connected to, where I'm loved, or I'm hugged. I know this is my third space. Not always. I've had some struggles in here. I moved here in 2017 with an employer, transfer, took a demotion because I had so many personal things going on in my life and thought it was all winding down. And I moved here, and then my employer found that I was, his religious beliefs were agnostic, and he didn't believe in per se a church, and he realized I like going to church, and he was really upset about several things. So he intentionally placed me on Sunday schedules. Yes. Mean. Well, it could be true that I was maybe getting the same salary he was because I took the demotion, but one way or the other, he knew I couldn't make it. I couldn't. Then COVID kicked in. Then it was everything under the sun. The world started to collapse. And somewhere along the line, probably about 9 months ago, something snapped. And something came back to, a thought came back to me. Is that I have a place. I don't have that same job anymore. Why am I not attending service? Why am I not? It's not the drive. Why? Because I was kind of like, I really couldn't connect with anyone. They had all these excuses. And then really done, I did connect to people here. This was that third space. This was that place that allowed me to operate the next 6 days of the week to get back to here, to get back to a place where I can congregate with people who made me feel as a person of color in a community where sometimes I'm isolated. I've had great jobs where I've been the only person of color in the room. Around the world, people don't even know that I'm really talking. I minimize to the call centers, and that's all I say. So, well, they don't want to go in the morning, so I'll leave it alone. But I have been the only person in the room, and then sometimes I've learned to just sit because no one's going to connect with me. Everybody's sitting with PhDs and doctors and talking about and CEOs, and I'm sitting in the room going, okay, I'm the only person of color here that I'm going to connect from South Side Chicago, and I know what urban life is, and they didn't grow up the way I did, and they're not going to get it. But I came to kind of understand that there are other places, this third space, my congregation, my church is my place where I can come and belong, you know, and keeping a roof and keeping the lights on and making sure space is tempered correctly. And some of them hot days, I think we had a couple of times where the air conditioner went out, maybe in my few years here, or something happened with it. It's really important. It really is. And it's equally as important for me as a space where they're knowing that there are so many other people out there that need this space. And I'm going to really on soapbox. They need this. And I encounter people all the time. People don't realize that I'm like my roommate. I'll talk to anybody, anyone. Don't come and say, I want to hold your hand and tell me about my spirituality. Oh, go ahead. Start. Go, bring it to me. Tell me. Please tell me. Bring something new to my life. And a lot of times I ask people, I say, what do you attend church or going? I don't do any of that. I don't believe in that. Well, you haven't found that third space or a place where you can actually come and be free and speak freely about who you are and what your beliefs are. But you can do that here. And in this valley here, you know, as they call it Sin City, there's a huge need for that. A huge need for an outreach to a community that's not being served, particularly people of color, particularly the LGBTQ community, people who are somewhere one way or the other are. There's a huge need, and this space is important for that. You know, are there things can be done differently? Yes, there's some things I definitely want to talk to Reverend about, because there are things I'd like to do. I've already kind of realized that I've encountered too many people I see out here suffering, needless suffering. So let me get off the soapbox, but it's important. I actually finally did my annual commitment today while I was sitting back there, because I said I can't get up here and tell people how important it is, and I haven't done this yet. I was like, okay, let me do this on the app. Okay, breathe, bam. Let me get here and feel this out and feel this form. Bam. I was like, yep, I'm up here now. Ooh, boy, took the pressure off. Like, I'm gonna do it any day now, any day now. Well, now it's the best time and ever. Get it done before I get up here and start trying to get other people to kind of say that, you know, it's important. It really is, because there's so many other people out there need this place, this space. And there's a lot of need for outreach. You know, we're always asking, give where you can give. And I hear Reverend say it, and I'm a firm believer of that. Give where you can give. So much so, I had a brother who sometimes, you know, he may hear, actually, I may bring him here next Sunday. He's coming here for his in-laws for a birthday celebration. I think I'm gonna bring him in here for a minute. When I joined the military, I was in the Navy, and I would go home to get him and take him shopping and do stuff with him. But in order to do the shopping, I would have to take him, and he was going to go get blood. And at one point, he resented that. Well, why? I said, well, you know what? To whom much is given, much is expected. I have one sibling that's identical to me, Sherry. Well, he's been volunteered a year all over California. He set up all kind of groups and stuff for young kids. And I look back and go, you know, he understands that one principle that's more important, that everybody's important, which is, I think, our first principle, and the importance of giving back. And he gives back over and over and over. And it reminds me, when I think of him, the importance of giving back, and the importance of outreach with the church and people within the church or the congregation. You reach out to somebody within the community, or someone or some group, or even an animal shelter. Reach out and give something back. Because when you give something back, you attract others to this important, I won't say institution, but this important place or space. So I'm going to stop yapping. But I want to say this. I grew up Baptist. My mother took me to Muslim temples, went to Jehovah's Witness. My mother really was a universalist. She really was. She didn't know it. She didn't know who she was. I know now who she was. But you're the first person who's connected all of it. Yeah, the last Reverend did a good job, but you've connected it all for me. And I appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Hey, bring that back again over and over. Thanks, Hillary.
Just touching these a little bit. Okay, offering time. And, we gather as a religious community to give each one of us a place where we can do the work of many. The offering supports the mission of the congregation to be a beacon of love and justice in the desert, and supports local organization working to make our community a better place for all. The offering this month is shared with the Minister's Discretionary Fund. The Minister's Discretionary Fund is used to assist members and friends of the congregation and members of the larger community in helping to meet their basic living needs, such as shelter, food, utilities, medical, and other exigencies such as transportation and fees. Funds may be given as a loan or a gift depending upon the person's ability and circumstances. The link to donate your offering will be in the chat on Zoom, and the ushers are coming by for you to donate. And now, please join with me. With gratitude for the abundance in our own lives, we give for the life of this congregation and the benefit of the larger community. Thank you all for your gifts. And is Megan here yet? You are here. Very good. You have to understand, I'm just not seeing real well.
Oh, I should have told you I saw it.
Good morning. I'm really glad to see you all here today, but we're a little light on this side. Where is everybody? The holiday? Is that what happened? It's daylight savings time. That's it. That's why I was late. I'm not even gonna try real hard to follow Mac, so I'm gonna be quick. Okay. The board has decided to do sort of a spotlight series to help the congregation get to know people in certain leadership positions, including on the board and your committee chairs. So the goal is to tell you what we are interested in as people, what we do for UUCLV, and if there's something that strikes the chord with you, then you know who to reach out to. So I am the president of the congregation. Thank you for that very much. Yes. Well, I toot my own horn up here. So it is my responsibility to sign contracts for UUCLV. I chair the board meetings. I am also particularly interested in making sure our governance structure, the things like the bylaws and the policies, really reflect who we are and are up to date with the changing world. So you'll see at our annual meeting, we have some updates to the bylaws happening. I am also running for re-election, so I really hope to keep working on that project for a while. And if you don't like me, you don't have to vote for me. That's okay. I won't be offended. And I will make a shameless plug for the upcoming elections too. We do need to elect a treasurer and a program liaison this year. So if you're curious what that means, what those roles entail, come find me during coffee hour. I will stick around to talk to you. I am also the chair of the Welcoming Congregation Committee, which is tasked with finding ways to promote safety and inclusion for everyone who visits UUCLV, everyone who calls this place their spiritual home. And this will include keeping the place LGBT affirming of those identities and lives. And it should also be welcoming to all types of abilities, races, families, and perspectives. So if that's your interest, I am the person to talk to about that too. So service and duty are really key to my personal theology. So as always, I am really grateful that I get to be of service to this congregation and to all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
The reading today is In Between by Kate R. Walker. In between, liminal, that space where we wait. Between moments, events, results, action, no action. To stand on the threshold, waiting for something to end and something new to arrive. A pause in the rumble of time. Awareness claims us, alert, a shadow of something different. In between invitation and acceptance. In between symptom and diagnosis. In between send and receipt of inquiry and question. In between love given and love received. Liminality, a letting go, entering into confusion, ambiguity, and disorientation. A ritual begun. Pause. Look back at what once was. Look forward into what becomes. Identity sheds a layer, reaches into something uncomfortable to wear. In between lighting of the match and the kindling of oil. In between choosing of text and the reading of words. In between voices and notes carried through the air with ears to hear. In between, creation thrusts ever forward. Social hierarchies may disassemble and structures may fall. Communities may revolt or tempt trust. Tradition may falter or creativity crashes forward. Leaders may step down or take charge. The people may choose or refuse. In between, storm predicted, the horizon beckons. In between, theology of process reminds us to step back. In between, where minutiae and galaxies intermingle with micros and mysteries. In between, liminal, that space where we wait. Look, listen, feel, breathe.
That's the sermon. Keri found that reading, and all the readings she found this week were awesome, at least in my not so humble opinion. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mac, I owe you that $50 I promised you. Megan, you're a wonderful reminder that younger generations can do, will do, and do it beautifully. Thank you, Madam President. All right. So, I wanted to talk to you all this month about transformation. I've heard rumblings about transformation. Maybe it's something we don't need. Maybe it's something we do need. Here's where my words and thoughts and mind took me. And I want to read this quote to you from Dr. Andrew Newberg from a text entitled Words Could Change Your Brain. Without language, we find ourselves living in a state of emotional chaos. Our brain has given us the potential to communicate in extraordinary ways, and the way we choose to do so can improve the neural functioning of the brain. In fact, a single word has the power to influence the expression of genes that regulate physical and emotional stress. If we do not continually exercise the brain's language centers, we cripple our neurological ability to deal with the problems we encounter with each other. How many of you have told a child somewhere along your rearing of them, Johnny, Janie, use your words? Something to that effect, right? Children get frustrated and can't articulate what they need to say to us because their language development hasn't quite reached, I think, the level of what we adults want them to express, right? Their thoughts are running faster than their ability, or their actions are running faster than their ability to articulate what it is they want, need, or dream about. But it's not just children, is it? Oh, how some of us, and I'm talking to myself mainly here, will say things that we wish we could pull back. Recant, huh? Legal term? You can't unsay something. Once it's out there, you got to deal with the consequences. So learning to be careful, but also learning that you have the freedom, the right, doggone it, you must express yourself. It's at the very core of our beings to share the wondrous things and the fabulous places our minds take us to. So this transformation thing, let me read a bit of this. I said transformation implies transformation is good for you, right? That it's needed, it's necessary. You hear this in the vast majority of the faith traditions that have taken hold in this world of ours. You know, when you line up the principles of the world's major religions, most of them have similar ideals about how we humans should be behaving, how we should be acting, how our minds ought to be thinking, where you rest your mind. Vernon, where man thinketh, thus he goes. Watch it, brother. But then I had this thought. Well, if that's the reality across the spiritual spectrum, isn't it saying something that we as Unitarian Universalists may not fully agree with? See, I have that same impulse within me. I know I'm not perfect, and you don't have to agree with me. But I know I'm not perfect. And if we're healthy human beings, we all probably know that too. Although, you know, Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way. I mean, can't argue with that. The impulse is within us. The desire to reach higher ground, so to speak, to do all we can do, to be all we can be. No plug for the United States military. To be all we can be. Doesn't it reside within us? Doesn't it gnaw at many of us? Gosh, I didn't get to where I hoped to get. And yet, I wonder about this transformation thing. Does it imply that there is something broken or wrong with our beings just the way we are? Worse yet, that we need to be fixed. That's the sign for fix, I believe. Fixed. We need to be fixed. Like you're stitching something up. Oh, them broken people. That I need to be changed from the very beginning of my personhood. Oh, Gordon, don't do that. Don't touch that. Don't say that. How dare you? How many times did a child hear no before they even got to kindergarten? We're overwhelmed with the no. Something's wrong with us. That original sin thing, that brokenness that some faith traditions try to foist upon us is overbearing. And it doesn't call to my heart. Some years ago, I attended a big gathering of Unitarian Universalist ministers somewhere up the California coast near Monterey. Beautiful, lovely, all that. So nice. The theme of the week of that seminar was come and be transformed. The theme. Ministers preaching to ministers. The nerve of them. How dare you? Who do you think you are telling me or any of us lofty Unitarian Universalist ministers we need to be transformed? Aren't we the best of the best? We love everyone. We accept everyone. We don't tolerate you. We embrace you with all of your foibles. We're not the clergy that need this finger waving. There's a reason we're 300,000 and not 30 million. It may start in the pulpit. Maybe not. Because I love the bumper sticker, and I keep telling you this, when the people lead, the ministers will follow. That's the best bumper sticker I ever saw in my life. This isn't a top-down institution. Yes, we could use that term, Mac. We are not top-down. The clergy of this denomination have an expectation that you will discern your theology, come up with practical approaches to living it, and then watch everything blossom and grow in congregational life. Ministers will applaud you, will pat you on the back, will tell you how beautiful you are. We like you to do the work. It's a really sweet gig. One of the ministers was preaching, and I sat there thinking, I don't need to be transformed. But she opened up something fundamental, something deep down in me that made me think that doesn't match up with our universalist foundations. And universalism got the short shrift in the merger of Unitarians and Universalists. See, I may not want to change our principles and purposes for this second, what is it called? Article 2. Maybe that's not for me. I came into this thing as an adult tied to those principles and purposes. I don't think there's anything broken in the way human beings are made. I think the journey is about cultivating, nurturing, guiding each other to higher ground. Not that there's something wrong with us. Yeah, I'm a kid. I want. I cry. I'm old. I want. I cry. I'm middle-aged. I'm not what I used to be. I cry. That's what people do. Is there something fundamentally wrong with being us? No, I don't think so. I heard another sermon that week. Minister quoted Anne Frank. Hear her words. I think it's particularly poignant for today. Anne Frank wrote, "In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. I simply can't build up my hopes on a foundation consisting of confusion, misery, and death. I see the world gradually being turned into a wilderness. I hear the ever-approaching thunder, which will destroy us too. I can feel the suffering of millions, and yet, if I look up into the heavens, I think that it will all come right, that this cruelty too will end, and that peace and tranquility will return again." If Anne Frank, in the midst of It has to be one of the most horrific situations the world's ever known. Could pen words like that? Where are we? What's going on in this American life? It seems abundantly clear. The world is hurting, and yes, there are things that need to be fixed. We each have our own issues and challenges, foibles, I like to call it. Trials and tribulations, yes, they are there. However, I want and need our faith's assertion that we are as good as it gets, good enough already, that we are loved just because we are. I need universalism to embrace all people from a psychosocial perspective to a biological, scientific approach. Universalism saved the day once upon a time and said, none shall be condemned. All are worthy. You don't have to say it's God's love. Say it's the love of the universe, for Pete's sakes, but all are worthy. End of story. Not the narrative of brokenness, not the deceptive teachings of theologies and philosophies that want to beat us down instead of lift us up. I don't think we have to earn any deity's love. If you made us and you're really the author and creator of us, then you already know what we are. Should have made us better. That'd be your problem. There certainly can be voices in our own heads that tell us, oh, Gordon, you're not good enough. You preached a bad sermon. You didn't show up enough for the people. You didn't give your wife all the loving she was demanding. Lisa's a demanding woman. And I fail her over and over again. Men do a lot of that. I'm sorry, guys. But I've listened to a lot of women. We do it over and over again. Let's be honest. I recently spoke with a young family that was interested in having me baptize their child. I told them that in our tradition, we don't believe that babies come into the world inherently sinful, that we don't think that there's anything that a baby needs to be cleansed of. And guess what? I've said that over and over again, and I've never met a new parent who disagreed with what I said. Hear these words of the English poet William Wordsworth. He wrote, "Trailing clouds of glory do we come. Who is our home? Heaven lies about us in our infancy. Heaven lies about us in our infancy. We were born divinely created or miraculously made. Take your pick. Somehow, some way, here we are. Stardust formed in the U's, the many U's. Somehow we forget this. Life can beat us down. We lose our way sometimes. We forget who we are. We forget to whom we belong. I found out this week that Elvis Presley, Muhammad Ali, Abraham Lincoln, and Andrew Jackson are relatives of mine. Far off. Thank you, Mormon Church, for having the most outrageous documentation on all of our personal business. OMG. I was proud about Muhammad Ali. I like that. I don't know about the others. Even Lincoln, I take pause with. He wanted to ship us back to Africa. Maybe they should have let him live and could have shipped us back, and we could have oppressed those indigenous Africans the way they've done in Liberia. That's another conversation. So, transformation. Maybe we need it. Doc, maybe we don't. Maybe we need to unlearn some of the unhelpful lessons we've been taught. How about trying on some new ones, some more liberating ones, some more loving ones, some more ways of being that will lift us up to higher ground? It's natural to be scared of change. It may cost us something. Yes, being a member of a congregation is going to cost you something. Time, talent, or resources, huh? Yeah, that's true. But look at what you may potentially get. Rabbi Edwin Friedman. I love Rabbi Friedman. He thought of congregations as a family systems. He developed the notion of congregational life as family systems theory. And we could look at that. I don't know who the congregational mother is, who's the congregational father. Are you all wayward children? Yeah, but I'll label all of you somewhere along the way. It'll be a fun exercise. Rabbi Friedman, though, he said, it's fruitless to try and convince someone else to change. The good news, Rabbi said, is that in changing our own behavior, we can change the world around us. More than that, he wrote, if you want your child, spouse, client, boss, or congregational member to shape up, stay connected to them. You see, as they see you changing yourself rather than fixing them, they might get on board and want to change too. In closing, hear these words, and thank you, Keri, once again, because this was part of what she sent me as a package. This is entitled When I Change by Ma Teresa. Tet Castillo Galarado. And I'm going to ask you to help me with this. I'm going to say, and then you say, when I change, the world changes. So here we go. We are here to derive meaning in our actions. When I change, the world changes. We are here to win our power back over our areas of powerlessness. When I change, the world changes. We are here to deepen our understanding of ourselves in order to strengthen self-discipline. When I change, the world changes. We are here to abolish prejudice with an appreciation of our diversity and differences. When I change, the world changes. We are here to feel our personal power and our capacity to affect the lives of others. We are here to become teachers to each other. We are here to spend time away from the unusual influences and relearn reality. When the divine gives me the desire, I am also given the power and means to achieve my goals. I am here to see that my singular life is a gateway to countless possibilities. And in closing, this life of ours is a beautiful, mysterious event, different for each of us. This moment, this place, this gathering of souls, this shared way that we are traveling together in this very moment and for this very time. None of this is permanent, but all of it is present here in this moment and in these connections we share. The words of Albert Schweitzer say, the purpose of human life is to serve and to show compassion and the will to help others. May it be so, dear people. May it be so. Amen.
Call to action time. The call to action this week is to reflect deeply on the Article 2 report, which we went over, I think, pretty well last week. Take time to think of the words that you use to describe Unitarian Universalism. Participate in the town hall on this subject that will be held on May 7th, or participate either in some online training or congregational learning offered by UU Wellspring. More details will follow on the announcement roll, flash, and in this space.
These closing words come to us from V. Emil Gudmundsson. And now, may we have faith in life to do wise planting that generations to come may reap even more abundantly than we. May we be bold in bringing to fruition the golden dreams of human kinship and justice. We ask that the fields of promise become fields of reality.
And now, please join with me. We release that which was called with love and gratitude, and we extinguish the flame, but not our commitment to being a beacon in the desert. This burns brightly until we gather again. Well, we're at the end. Thank you, Keith and Jeff, for managing the AV. Thank Donna for the pretty flowers. Thank all of you for actually being here and coming today. Please take a moment to ruminate on the service and ground yourselves. Next week's service is People of Change with Reverend Gordon. Please enjoy our coffee hour and potluck. An announcement will continue to roll during the friendship